Hello. So it is close to the holidays, and last year I did a holiday video. So if you want to, you can type in on that search on my channel, then you can say Christmas or holiday. Because I do give the signs for those. So I'm not going to give a lot right now because I want to concentrate on one specific word, but I'll just review the few signs for the major holidays this year. Christmas, the wreath. Christmas, which is Santa. Hannukah, which is the 8 candles, because remember the ninth one is in the middle. And Kwanzaa, which is the 6 candles. It's the same thing as Hanukkah, right? It's got 8, but Kwanzaa does 6. So, and also Noel, that word is a French word meaning nativity, so or Christmas, and so you could do. I would do this if you were saying the first Noel, that song. I would do Christmas instead of this because they're not talking about Santa. So I would not use that sign. But the one word that I want to concentrate on, and I maybe have done that last year, was nativity. Now that word does not just slide off my hands really easy, and it may not yours, but it doesn't mind. But nativity really means a place of birth. So we don't use that. We don't say my nativity is, or where's your nativity? We say where are you from. So that's not in our vernacular anymore, but it is used when we talk about Christ's birth and all the songs, and it may be for other things that you do or see or people talk about a nativity. But it's a place of birth. So you could even do, if you wanted to, if you talk about nativity, you could say Christ's place born. So, or if you're talking about Bethlehem, you can say, you could do be Christ born where, Bethlehem. Bethlehem is like a city. So Bethlehem, where Christ born. That's what I love about ASL. You could do your sentence structure in different ways, and it still is appropriate and it's still correct. So you just have to know how to do it. Sometimes it's not as correct. But nativity, I collect, let's do it, nativities, right? Just doesn't flow off my hand. But even when I'm writing it, sometimes it doesn't flow off my hand either. But let's talk about that. So there's two ways of doing birth. Now, if today when I go interpret for labor, I don't do birth normally. I do labor, or the baby's born, or we talk about birth. I do it this way because that is more of a visual of what that female, that woman is going to go through is birth, right? And they need to kind of visualize it so they go, oh, okay. Because we talk about labor, right? Labor. And the baby's born. Oh, the baby born, finished, healthy, right? So that's why we want to concentrate on that particular sign. But if we talk about a holy birth, and someone corrected me on this because I was so used to doing labor that I was doing, Christ's birth, and they're going, no, don't do that. So, but it would be for your non-dominant hand to just like hold the baby, and then your left hand, the baby, it's right there in the hand, right? You don't have to go through the whole birth process, even though Mary did. So this is, you could say Christ's birth or his nativity. Christ born, where? Bethlehem. So you would always do that for Christ born. And you could do that in other formal ways of just regular people. The baby born fine, or the baby born healthy, or something like that. You don't always have to do the labor part. So it just depends on how your deaf community uses it, and also the context, because you don't necessarily want to use this every time for birth or things like that. So it's not that you're necessarily using the word nativity, but you're using the word for birth. So I collect nativities, right? So how would you sign that? It's like, oh, I collect a place of birth, and so that really wouldn't make sense to a deaf person. So you could say, they could say, oh, how do you decorate? Oh, I collect. And you could spell nativities, right? Or you could spell it, and they'll go, and if they give you that look like, what's that? What are you spelling? You say, oh, I've collected baby Jesus, and then I've done Jesus, and I like to do a little flair. But the sign for Jesus is simple. It's your modified 8 hands, your feeling hands, and you have that because it has the nail prints in his hands, right? That's the sign for Jesus. I like to put a little flair on it. So my right hand is only one doing action. So I do it here, and I have both like this, and then here's my right hand, and I touch here, and I slide down and go up and move it to where it's touching the left hand, the nail print in the hand, Jesus. But I'm not moving my left hand, if you'll notice. So anyway, so you can say, oh, baby Jesus, I collect. He's in the manger, and his mom Mary, which is an M. My left hand, my right ring finger always falls down naturally, but the left one doesn't. So sometimes if someone doesn't notice an M, then I'll do it with my left hand. I don't know why that happened. It's just natural. It's not that I'm doing that. It just happens. So Mary and Joseph. I would spell Joseph unless that person has a sign for him. I don't have a standardized sign, and I haven't seen a standardized sign for him. So collect that, and I've collected shepherds, and because shepherds is a sheep person, right? And then a sheep. I've collected a drummer boy. I've collected camels. I've collected the wise men. Now, there's 2 different ways to do that, or a few different ways. So wise is an X hand shape on the right here in front of your forehead. Wise. And then this is man. So if you're going to do anything plural, you need to do it more than once. So I would do it twice. But you could also do the 3 wise men, right? You could do it that way. Or you could just do wise men. We already know that there's 3 in the story. And I've collected, an angel, and I've collected, different, you could say whatever. Oh, I have one that has Mary and Joseph on a donkey, right? This is the sign for, this is horse with just the 2, and here's a donkey with all. A donkey. And they're riding on it. Or you could say Mary's riding on the donkey. Joseph is walking. And then I have one that has Mary with the baby Jesus on the donkey riding, and Joseph is walking. Now I would do walking this way, but you could say walking. He's walking. And the reason I would do it this way is because here's you could say the donkey, and you could place it, and then you could have him walking alongside. You could do that. You could do a lot of classifiers. I have him walking because he's by himself walking. He does have Mary and Jesus. She's holding him on the donkey as they're leaving Bethlehem and going back home. Or they have to escape into Egypt. So that could be it. They're leaving. So he's by himself walking, or you could say he's walking. It doesn't matter, and because I think that everyone would understand what that looks like. You could say he's walking. I have Joseph. He's walking. Okay, but I like the classifier, so you could see that he's beside that, and he's leading the donkey and watching, over the baby and Mary. So. But I like that collection, and so you could describe the nativity. But the nativity, you could say, oh, and I have a stable or a barn, and the baby Jesus, right? He's in a manger, which is a food trough. And I have Mary, she's kneeling, and then Joseph, he's standing, right? So you can describe it that way. So you can describe a nativity by describing the different pieces you have. That's what I would do, because the nativity itself does not have a sign because it means a place of birth. So I would say, oh, I collect nativity, you know, the stable and the baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph. Oh, okay. Oh, also, I collected this year a new angel or a new drummer boy or a new shepherd or a new, or I have more lambs. I have a cow. I have a camel. And so all the different animals that's in the story. So you can say that what you've collected if you're collecting that. Or I have a new one piece, and I would spell nativity, that it's an ornament for the tree. And it only has the three: Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And it's in one piece. And they're all looking at Jesus, at the baby. So that's how I probably wouldn't do baby Jesus over and over again once you've established it. Once you've established that it's the baby Jesus, you could just say the baby, right? You wouldn't have to do baby Jesus again and again and again. So that's one thing I like about ASL, is that once you've set up who and what and where, then you just point, right? Those are your pronouns. So Mary here, Joseph here, and the baby Jesus here. And then Mary is kneeling, right? And Joseph is standing. And the baby is in a manger. You see how you set it up first, and then you can kind of discuss it. Okay, I've gone on and on. I hope you enjoy and you're able to use the signs and that you've learned or reviewed. And practice, enjoy, and I will see you later. Bye.